Hi everybody, this is Black Rhino Ranger, me doing yet another animation commentary. This time we'll be focusing on the Same Month, Same Day series, and if we have enough time, the Cinderscope series. Basically, it's a little something I did. It is a bit of a novelty. Since it was in 2020, I was thinking, what if I do something for 1, 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, 10, 10, 11, 11, and 12, 12. That's when I thought about same month, same day, starting with January 1st. Yes. And also doing something number related with only one piece. So over here we have Wrecking Ball, and the doctor says, I'm afraid you can only have one piece of chicken a day. And the next day, about to eat this gigantic chicken, he says, what? It's in one piece. Yes. He's correct. The chicken is in one piece. It's not like it's torn into bite-sized pieces small enough to swallow like a crocodile would do after it rolls to death or shakes it off. Okay, before I go to number 2, here's a little something I did. It was called the palindrome treadmill. You know what a palindrome is? It's basically a word or a sentence and then one particular sentence, and if you flip it around, it's spelt the same. Like Weird Al's Bob, and B-O-B. If you spell it backwards, it's B-O-B. And it's done in the style of Bob Dylan. And there's some of those lyrics like, I'm in am regal, or German am I? Was it a car or a cat I saw? But next up is the two flavors. It's basically the title is a bit of a flake on the two towers, but it's just marble cake. Emily, I got this idea from the SpongeBob episode, Are You Happy Now? That joke about sticking his head into an oven only to pull out brownies. Whoops. 30 minutes later, the cake is done. I should have given Trigger Happy some mittens, otherwise his hands would have been burnt. Uh-oh, there's no more cake. What happened? Oh dear, he ate it. The oven has eaten it. Next up is 3 elements and a dragon. It's an ad. So for this one, it was more or less a sequel to my Spyro Masters of All Elements. In that animation, I had since Spyro's a purple dragon, and at least to the classic days, he is able to master many different elements. I mean, if you remember in Enter the Dragonfly or A Hero's Tale or even The Legend of Spyro, he was able to master many different elements. He could do fire, electricity, ice, earth, and I think he also could master water. And Cinder can also master poison, wind, fear, and shadow. And hence why Spyro has the ability to master those elements. Yeah, this just kind of occurred to me. What if Cinder's elements and Spyro's elements were actual Skylanders elements instead of the ones we're familiar with, like tech? I mean, what breath would Spyro's tech breath be like? And if you remember in my Spyro Masters of All Elements, mastering the different elements, they're all more or less cheesy rather than for action. Like Spyro was doing cheesy magic. He was blowing a bubble or balloon for air. He was on a hang glider. He was starting a fire for a fire, etc. For this one, for about 8 years, people have been asking me to do a sequel to that with the light and dark elements, or even the chaos element. And so I bring to you the light and dark elements presented by Spyro. Now you could argue that the dark elements for Spyro already exists. We have Dark Spyro in Skylanders Ring of Heroes. He became a light element. And over here, the multiple finger stain that was taken from SpongeBob SquarePants episode Gullible Pants, or even Sailor Mouth. So what's his dark pit? He's reading Guts by Chup. And I heard it's a very, very dark story alongside The Go Next Door. I haven't read any of this. I just looked them up to see which one was the darkest story. And he is like an old goth-like. And he turns up the light, and he goes to the god. I got that idea from SpongeBob, from the SpongeBob episode, Patty. Was it Patty Hype or something else Patty? There's something with the pretty patties. You know, you dumb pretty patties turn my face purple. Look what I've got under me kilt, and look at our tongues. What's wrong with you? Turns off the entire ocean's light, and it glows in the dark. We want our money back. All 46,853 of us. What does he master the light? He does it for Look So Junior. Sun staring contest. Oh look, that's Spyro's pet Komodo dragon. Haven't used him in a while, and he was sunbathing. And here he is in the Chaos element, an element exclusive to Chaos in Skylanders Trap Team, Superchargers, and Imaginators. Like taking candy from a baby, poor Lily. Destroy the world. And end up in prison. Now, originally, I was only just going to have Spyro in prison and have him say, well, if I'm going to master the Chaos element, I must do what is righteous. Turn myself in. And I think I had him turn himself in a later time. During Mischief Night. And then Sparks whispers to him something. That there's another element. It's the blank element. This is an element that was introduced in Battlecast. So which basically means any type of move is available for any Skylander, regardless of the element. So how is Spyro going to master that element? He blanks himself. The music I chose is, let's see, what the credits say. The music is from Gentle Breeze from Trauma Center Under the Knife 2. The first time I've heard that particular song was when somebody posted a more crabs picture, and they used that song. Do 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 do. Next up is Four Brains Harm. And the title, I believe it or not, I got it from an old British cartoon I used to watch as a kid called Four Ways Farm. It's a show that stop motion, and it was one of the few early voice acting careers of Martin Jarvis, who you probably know as a random person in the Titanic film, but he also is a well-known voice actor. He's Nurgle from The Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. He's the Chronicler from the Legend of Spyro series, and he's also Satine in Wreck-It Ralph. So in this animation, the characters are all Trigger Happy, Stealth Elf, Gilgrunt, and Crash are just staying about and stuff. Just trying out this brand new restaurant. I did want this one to be a bit more detailed, like have more seats there, but I just didn't have enough time. So Crash was about to have to say, but no outside food or drinks. I just had the specials or something like that. So Crash so Trig and Stealth Elf got some salmon. Gilgrunt gets some pie, and Crash gets a burger. But then something happens. Their brains are being... something's draining and something's expanding, I guess. Happened. Wait, is this my voice? And, unless, why does everything feel so weird? What is up with my voice? And who's that good-looking fella? This is one of my favorite jokes. This guy just realized, the Portal Masters have forsaken me. Well, that was it. The Crash Bandicoot suddenly becomes all intelligent. Trash, is that you? Indeed, my dear Stealth Elf, inhabiting the system of Trigger Happy. At the same time, I am a completely rewired specimen.
How did we get this way?
So basically, there was something in the food. So what type of foods happened? Let me just levels. See, so apparently there's this thing. There are these types of foods. There's the one on top is the extrasensory egg. Once you eat the egg, you become self-awareness. You start predicting stuff that's going to happen a few minutes earlier or something like that. And then there's the brain burger. Once one bite of it, and you become intelligent. And then the switch. Let me just over there is a concussion casserole. I think one bite of it and you're knocked out for a bit. And then there's the switch salmon. It's basically one bite of it. If you bite this simultaneously with another, your brains get switched.
Hey, how come? And then they say, how come our voices didn't switch?
And he says, your vocal cords are not located in your throat, not your brain. A common misconception for most body swap stories. I'll explain more about that once this animation ends. And then Skillgrun's come back. His entire intelligence has been completely drained. He can't remember anything except it's thanks to the amnesia amplified. At least it wasn't scrambling scrambled eggs. So, well, there is a cure for this, but you have to wait for number 2.
Oh, yeah, that's having the mirror.
And this nightmare is only temporarily. So basically, this is my attempt to fiddle about with 3 types of storytelling, 3 types of plots. The body swap story, the amnesia plot, and the idiot becomes a genius plot. I mean, you've seen these before, whether you like them or not. We have to admit, a lot of these are definitely cliché. No matter how much we enjoyed them. the amnesia is in films like the Muppets movie, in a Muppets movie, in Shaun the Sheep, the movie. Now Lilo and Stitch did a unique take on the amnesia plot, but a lot of the times it's the bump in the head type, like in Forget Me Not from Garfield and Friends, and Whatever Happened to SpongeBob from SpongeBob SquarePants. Whether you like those plots or not, we can agree this is a very common trope. There's also the body swap story, where you switch different brains and stuff like that, and you try to get used to one another. There's plenty of stories like that. There's Lilo and Stitch did an episode on that as well. There's an American Dragon, Jake Long did that. There's Breadwinners did that, and that's one of the very few episodes I was able to withstand. The Nut Shack had one, and they kept the voices in the right bodies. In fact, most body swap stories, they not only do they switch the brains, they also switch the voices, like in Gravity Falls and the Owl House. But there are other times where they switch the brains, but they keep the voices in, like in I Am Weasel and the Nut Shack. The Breadwinners did something unique with the body swap story. They, instead of switching, rather than having switching brains, they switch body structures. Badoo's body structure here became like Sway Sway. And Sway Sway's body structure became more like Badoo's. They kept their skin. They didn't necessarily switch bodies. They switched their internal structures. And I was still able to tell them apart. The Nut Shack did keep in the normal voices thing, but it was hard for me to tell who was who because the characters were just not that good. And but Gravity Falls, they do play fun. Even though they did the switching voices thing, they do play around with it especially there's that crazy ending. Teen Titans, the 2003 Teen Titans, they did an episode about that, and I heard the backstory that the voice actresses, Hinden Waltz and Tara Strong, that they were supposed to keep their voices in the right bodies, but when Hindenwalch and Tara Strong did a great impression on each other, they're like, you know what, they're too similar to one another. Let's not bother with that. Let's just do the switch. Let's just switch their voices, because Hindenwalch does too good of an impression of Raven, and Tara Strong does a too good of an impression on Starfire. If you catch my drift. I wonder how they would have went with. Has anybody gone to a convention where they actually had Hindenwalch and Tara Strong impersonate each other? Anyways, and as for the idiot becomes a genius plot, you've seen this several times with shows like SpongeBob SquarePants, where Patrick becomes a genius. Even Skylanders Academy had something similar. They had Eruptor acting like Sherlock Holmes, where he starts focusing his whereabouts. It's detecting every single clue. But the reason why he doesn't do it so much is because it gives him a migraine. So they give him contact lens to shield him from that migraine. Trying to think, what other idiot becomes genius? Oh yeah, Grounder, the genius from Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. You all know Grounder. He's such a dumb robot. But when you plug in that chip that Dr. Robotnik invented, he's like, please, Doctor. Has something like that, where he speaks all British, like, instead of super intelligently. And trying to think, what other? Oh yeah, there's also the Superhero Squad show where the Hulk talks smack. Well, Hulk accidentally grabs onto an Infinity Shard, and instead of Hulk smash, Hulk talk like this, he goes, but of course. And now that my intelligence has been enhanced, I know it was you who pranked me, Falcon. Something like that. But because of his intelligence, he's become a little bit of a sissy as well. So that's basically... Now, as for the amnesia thing, usually with the amnesia thing, they just forgotten who he is, or who that person is, or anybody else around them is. But this one, I thought, maybe take it a step further, have his intelligence completely gained and forgetting everything, including his entire vocabulary, unable to think nor communicate, completely drained. Thankfully, it wears off when you go to the bathroom, and originally I was going to have Trigger Happy in Stealth Elf's body look at himself as herself in the mirror. But I didn't have enough time for that part. Probably for the best. And okay, next up is Five Nights at Malefor's, another ad. Take a guess what that title's a play on. So here's Malefor and Malefor's house, and he was like in a different dimension of some sort. And keep in mind, this is after here's Malefor. Although I probably should have done the Double Dragon Decade first, but never mind. 5 nights later, the Skylanders were skeptical of the idea of visiting Malefor, but then 5 nights later, do we have to leave Malefor's house? We got photos for evidence. So let's see here. Day 1, I can see there's some magazines. Gilgrun's looking at some sirens in his book. Europe's looking at some kid comics. Spyro is looking at You Are A-OK, universally representing asexuality's okay, completely. Trigger Happy's got probably the naughtiest, and probably the least politically correct. Actually, that did not come out right, sorry about that. Trigger Happy's is perhaps the most, kinky, let's say. He likes something that's tall, and I mean extremely tall, dark, and unarmed, literally. Take a guess. Have you guessed what this all means? And as for Jetvac, he's looking for beef, bricks, plus hot dogs. I'm sorry if these jokes are kind of offensive. I'm just like to play around with what my headcanons for their sexualities are. sometimes if you're coming up with, when you're giving the characters this, you want to play around with them, like making sure that their sexualities have a bit of a point, whether it's for a gag or it's part of the story. I mean, how good would the Owl House have been like if it wasn't for its LGBTQIA plus themes? How good would probably not so great. How would the Loud House be like without its LGBTQIA plus themes? Maybe not as big, but it's still a nice little bonus, and a nice bonus way to help spread representation of LGBTQIA plus. Unless you're living in countries that don't allow this stuff, like in Malaysia. Anyways, where was I? Yeah, apparently Malefor has his own inbuilt cinema, so he can watch the big screen anytime he wants. I see Trigger Happy's with some popcorn, Gilgrun's with a hot dog, Spyro's with some soda, Jetvax looking at a Ruptor sleeping, and Malefor's just looking up. And it looks like they ordered some food. Let's see, what foods do they have? Spyro's here is like ordering some steak. Malefor's got some Taco Bell. This is referencing his Skylanders counterpart, Academy self, where he loves tacos. Jetvac got a very big cheese stack of pizza. Burger King for Gilgrunt.
Oh no, it went straight to his thighs. Is he gonna blow up?
The Ruptor's getting some McDonald's with nuggets and burger. And Trigger Happy's having KFC. And one more time. Sorry about that. Here's a space, blah blah blah. And here's them trying to swim. Trigger Happy's on the float, Spyro's doing the thing, Gilgrun's having that shark on his head thing. Now Jetpack is like, help, I can't swim. This is referencing to the fact that in Skylanders Giants, Jetvac is the only air Skylander who is incapable of going over water. All the other air Skylanders, they're able to do so due to their ability to fly and hover. Whirlwind can fly, Sonic Boom can fly, Whirlwind can fly, Warnado can spin, fly, Lightning Rod can just hover, Swarm can also fly, but Jetvac, on the other hand, he cannot. And he cannot fly over water. And also, if you test this on the water Skylanders, Gilgrunt can just kicks, slap, zap, swims like a frog, slam bam surfs, whamshell rides like a witch, Chill just lightly skids over like she's on some ice, and Thumbback, well, he swims like an actual whale. As for Ruptor, I think you can know why he would be skeptical of stepping in the pool. Now, originally, this picture here was supposed to be Malefor cuddling the Skylanders as they sleep, like he acts a little like a father figure to them. And these two, but unfortunately, there was a rendering error on that part, so I had to replace it with a dark pillow fight. The folks back home are not going to believe this. Now you're probably wondering, why is this Malefor here such a goody two-shoes compared to the one in the comics, or even... I'll explain a little bit more later, but for now, let's take a look at this little bonus short earlier. So, Brittes Tacos, there's Star Butterfly, buy one get one free, keto options available. She looks up, she she gives her every single taco there is. Out of business installed. Oh. He gets the bill and there's something else in there. Have you seen this imposter? She says no, and he grins a grunt angry. You could take I think you pretty much figured out who this guy is. And you're probably wondering, why is he here and why is that Malefor here? Like I said, I'll try and explain on a later date if I can. If I'm unable to, I'll just write it down somewhere. Anyways, let's go to Let's go to the six-pack puns. Wait, sorry, there's a bit of a... I think this is one... I think this is the... this is one of the few... this is one of the few Skylanders animations I did where I decided not to submit it on DeviantArt because DeviantArt has gotten rid of their Flash format, and you can only submit videos your animations in a video format or as a GIF, a GIF. Because of that, I decided not to bother, so I decided to just have my animations almost exclusively to YouTube and occasionally DeviantArt. I mean Newgrounds. So this is the first of my pun series of my same month same day series where I did not submit it on DeviantArt, and it's called the 6-pack puns. So basically, Lightning Rod's flexing with his 6-pack, and it took away his abs. And in case you don't know what the puns are, allow me to reveal to you all in this commentary. He's got a packed lunch. This one packs a punch. She's got a backpack. He's got a pack of wolves in there. And what was that song in Weird Al? Like, riding a bus and filling a bar, and the place was pretty packed. Like, this is like packed in like sardines. That's it, packed in like sardines. It's pretty packed. And there's Pac-Man, and he's packing the pounds. That would be 7-pack puns. Whoops. Anyways, that's it for, where is the other one? Okay, next up is, the 7 Deadly Ronin. So, basically, this is, a bit of leftover of my multi-Magini animation. You know my multi-Magini animation where I did a little... you choose choose how it ends animations. That was originally supposed to be a longer story. I have made a storyboard about that, and this is where I included one of the characters, one of my OC characters, Oshinian, in there, in this one. And over here are some files of the 7 Deadly Ronin, Serranos, Jerks, Haters, WXCB, take a guess what that is, and Greedy Execs. So over here is the 7 Deadly Ronin. Over here is Tuatera, Element, Earth, Specialty, Ninja, wanted for arresting criminals who are greedy without authority supervision. So basically, they're vigilantes. They're like the 7 samurai. They're like the 47 Ronin. Masterless samurai seeking justice. Tuatara is definitely a Tuatara. You know, that's something that looks like a lizard, but is more closely related to the dinosaurs. Still alive today. Oshinian. Here's the guy who's basically an a prehistoric Cambrian creature. He's a water bazooker, and his specialty is to arrest those who are envious. So basically, they're arresting anybody who's of the 7 deadly sins. Earlier, she was arrested for arresting greedies. This guy is arresting and those with envy. Triumphant, the fire swashbuckler, does wrath. Gutbuster, the undead smasher, does gluttony. Kineticus, the air sentinel, does pride. Ray Cell, the light quick shot, does lust. And Webshot, the dark bow singer, does slots. And this is when I decided to make Snapshot a bit more restrictive, a bit more aware, a bit more tough on his on not only the Skylanders but also his teammates, kind of like how he was in the Academy show. While Kingpin is a bit more relaxed. He may be a teacher, but he's a bit more chillaxed and relaxed. I think more like his Academy self or something. And these two always have a bit of a bickering towards one another. Like, should the senseis or the trap masters be the more superior Skylanders? Now the teammates seem to be out of commission for a bit. Snapshot says, good thing I'm on a keto diet. He says that Kingpin says, it's not like they're doing this. It's not like they're going to arrest Skylanders or anything or like that. Let's see, which Skylanders over here represent the 7 deadly sins? Of course, you know, in my animations, and also based on his abilities, Trigger Happy, I would say, is greed. Rhino, thanks to his abilities, he has wrath, thanks to his abilities. Wrecking Ball is gluttony. I put Cinder as envy because she's a little bit of jealousy that with Spyro being an ace or something like that, or she probably wants what's the latest thing, but she doesn't have it or something like that. Lightning Rod is got pride because I like to have him looking at himself in the mirror a lot. And Rollerball has lust. Even though I do make her asexual, she can pretend to be into somebody. She's got the kissing moves like in Skylanders Superchargers. And as for Bad Breath, I made him a sloth because he's the most inactive of the Skylanders. He never once appeared in the games. He was saying, well, yes, you do make a good point on that part. And during my Olympics, in the middle, I have must be something I ate. Immediately, I got that title from the Ed, Edd and Eddy, The Misadventures level, must be something I id. So here are the Skylanders, and it says, Happy 8th Birthday, Giants. It's probably, guys, it's not your birthday. You're about thousands of years old, as old as the last woolly mammoth. Yeah, 10,000 years, that's when the last woolly mammoth died. Over 10 years. And it could be, and your anniversary is not for another several months. By the time I make this animation, it says, well, now it will be its 12th birthday. Well, someone wants to wish this a bit earlier. This is also based on, the Billy and Mandy's Big Boogie Adventure, where Billy and Mandy have some cake, but then they start sleeping on it because the cake was poisoned. And the giant Spyro tries to reason with them, but they rather listen to their stomachs than my words. So according to this, Dumpback's pretty normal, Cheers is pretty plump, Ninjini's very plump, Eyeball's trying to struggle a bit with the cake still on top of it. He has Spawn's just digging out his teeth a bit. Bouncer, I think he's squished. I don't know if he's expanded. Hothead is still eating some cake, and Crusher, what happened to his body? Several hours later, I should have warned him, but they won't listen. What's the diagnosis, Doc Pop? Yeah, that's what I'm calling him, Doc Pop, like Dr. Octopus or Doc Cock. Apparently, T-Rex has leaf pox. He's got zits all over him, and then a bit of it. Admittedly, it's this idea. Him having leaf pox is based on a man who had a condition that made him grow skeletons all over his body, and he was nicknamed Half Man, Half Tree. Now, I think he passed away a few years ago. And the zits, they land on him, you become a tree. And I got this idea from the Transformers episode Sea of Change, when Rumble steps into the pool of change, he thinks about becoming a tree. Bouncer has a vision virus. What does he look at Sparks? He sees him as Megagyrus, the mutated dragonfly from from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, one of the Millennium movies. He zaps him. Has a rock-solid headache! And the full Zubalawa sound effect from Ed, Edd n Eddy. And then it drops to the floor. We see Cobra having a pillow of Shantae. Hey chums, that ain't cool. Hothead has an extreme fever. He's glowing and he falls on the floor, and it's got various archive sound effects from the Wilhelm scream, the my leg, the yahoo, Fluttershy scream, Tom's scream, Pinky's narf, and the gut-wrenching scream, Rick Peru's laughter, and many other sound effects I could find that involves a lot of screaming or laughing. Thumpback gets extreme cold, and he sneezes really bad that it's got Cinder nurse-like and snotty-like. Eyebrow is temporarily blind, so he starts shooting. Poor Whirlwind and Doombug. Swarm has Mad Wasp disease, and mainly the Swarm having Mad Wasp disease was a last-minute decision because I forgot to record something for that part, so I had to come up with it super quick. So I made this part without haste, very hastily. I meant. And Ingenie just has hiccups. Also, focus on that for a little bit. Sorry, I know what you're saying, but focusing on this for a little bit. It kind of bounced a little bit. It was very fast, but it bounced a little bit. I'm sorry. It was a bit of a... Sorry about that. And she just has hiccups. And the squeak, believe it or not, that was actually recorded by me. I actually bought a squeaky toy the other day, and I recorded a sound effect on it. I say beep, beep, and I have that as Ninjini's hiccups. And the hiccups cause the ability to transform anyone into anything at random. Sonic Boom gets transformed into a Protoceratops based on the myth that Protoceratops may have been the inspiration for the Griffin myth of a lion and a eagle. And Rollerball just transformed into this character. Now, this character is actually a character that my sister created when she was a kid named Filbert. And this is basically what I used to follow this type of art style for a bit, and I've been drawing like her ever since. And I've been trying. And she also created a batch of characters called the Toesies. For those who don't know what Toesies looks like, it's basically something like this. That's what my sister also used to draw, and I followed that as well. I used to draw that as well as that. But when my grandfather passed away in 2007, I stopped doing the Toesies because it was just too painful. I wanted to move on to something else. And with my interest of anthropomorphic animals, I decided to have that as my main focus with something like Rhino and Dial and stuff, and Black Rhino Ranger and Cool Croc. This over here is just a nice little time capsule of my youth, of me and my sister's youth. And here, Bumblebust has transformed into a crocodile, and he's got this woman that acts as his tail. I think this one I was supposed to have that as like a bait or something. It's supposed to be super random. Any cure for the Stock Pop? They'll wear off in a week. Keep him comfy till then. And what does Selfo transform into? A giantess that lacks upper extremities and has 2 heads. And Trigger Happy, of course, being the sick pervert he is, say, I wouldn't mind this one, the thickness lasting a little longer. But then he transforms into a 10 breed. And the design I used that elephant gorilla bat being from Sly Cooper as inspiration.
And second that, I wish it was shorter.
This one I think is my most favorite of the bunch because this is where I went the most nuts on. Now this one is when I decided to go a little bit heavier because I'm having to witness a lot of my relatives' deaths. I keep making these as theories to what happens when you go to the other side. Like, when your time is up, what happens to you? And keep in mind, this did happen 9 months after the BoJack Horseman episode, where BoJack, having a near-death experience, sees Herb one last time, and he's like, "Well, Herb, see you on the other side." "Oh, BoJack, no, there is no other side. This is it." And then he just disappears. So 99 years into the future, we have very old Stealth-Elf, very old Trigger Happy, very old Chaos, very old Eruptor, very old Jetvan, very old Cinder, very old Spiral, very old Gilgrunt, and very old Terrafin, about to have their last breath with everybody around him. The heart's beating really slowly, and then they all slip. The heartbeat is on, there's no more heartbeat. Their souls are risen in the air. They gone to different locations. Eruptor wakes up, and he realizes that he was in heaven. There's a Tasmanian tiger, there's a woolly mammoth, there's a random human there. Take a guess what that was. Back then, there was a big event, big controversial event that happened in the middle of 2020. Hence why I drew this. And there's a Parasaurolophus, and I think that's a Mastodonsaurus, the amphibian, the giant amphibian. "I think this was meant for Jetvac," says Eruptor. And guess where Jetvac is? He's underground. And then there's this devil girl. "This is an absolute nightmare." And she transforms into a guy. "This is a dream come true." Now I understand if this offends anybody who is part of the LGBT, that if you die and you end up in hell, sorry about that. Sorry about that, but we have Aspen Hotel, and that's about being in hell, and that has a lot of pride stuff, like Charlie being bi, Vaggie being a lesbian, and Angel being gay, and Alistar being asexual, and Moxie being bi. And there's an egg in 2006. Wait a minute, isn't that when she was born? "Now rise, my child. Become the bad dragon you were destined to be." But no, she bails out and she runs away. Now at the background is all the stuff that's been happening in 2006. You see, that represents open season, even the release date. 95, that's Cars. Spuddies, that's Over the Hedge. Rest in Peace the Crocodile, that's Steve Irwin's death. Piranha on Ice, that's Ice Age, The Meltdown. YouTube, that's when YouTube became super popular. And that Slug thing, that's Flushed Away. And Not for Penguins, that's Happy Feet. And she just leaves. Well, that escalated quickly. And Terrafin, he ends up in a soul of a brand new born. "Congratulations, ma'am, it's a girl." And Gilgrunt ends up in a soul of another animal. Cliff, the cat of the Loud House. Wait, my spirit animal's a cat? I have to learn how to be a cannibal. And of course, that's usually butterflies as a soul. And maybe your death is a dream of somebody else from another planet or a different universe. Maybe when you die, you end up in another reality where you woke up from a dream. There's also Alien and Predator posters. One of the things pops, and Trigger Happy's in a dark abyss, surrounded by nothing but eternal darkness. He feels so lonely. In Stealth-Elf, sorry, it's dead. Can't do nothing about it. I was wrong. My prayers have been answered. This is based on Britney Spears' episode of South Park. When she dies, they start growing the crops or something like that. And Chaos, well, his soul is still there, but what's happening? I see the Grim Reaper, it's the P-room, this is Purgatory. And the Grim Reaper says, I have decided your fate, Chaos. And then he zaps Chaos, and then Chaos wakes up and he's like,
You got to be kidding me, mine was a fake out?
This is poking fun of the death fake out cliche, where it looks like the character's dead, but no, ends up alright in the end, either revived, time traveling, or something like that. You've seen this in a lot of Disney films, like Snow and the Seven Dwarfs, Frozen, Snow and the Seven Dwarfs, Frozen, The Jungle Book, and even How to Train Your Dragon from DreamWorks did something like that. But he also toiled with that most of him managed to live, except for one part of him. Okay, I'm just going to take a little bit of break. I'll be right back. Okay, continuing on, we have the 10 Sensei-ments, which is on October 10th, several days before the next anniversary of Skylanders. On Spyro, this is where I have Spyro master all the Sensei classes. You know, Brawler, Bazooka, Bow Singer, Quick Shot, and stuff. So they say, well, why don't we try and teach you how to be a swashbuckler or something like that. Now, originally I was going to include all 10 of the senseis, about at least 10 senseis of each class. However, there was a bit of a fiddle on that. I didn't want to include the villains, and the villains were supposed to, and if I include Tide Pool, I have to exclude Kingpin, and have Airstrike instead. And knowing that Kingpin is said to be the leader of the senseis, I feel like I have to include him in here somehow. So this was all jumbled up in my head, so I ended up with just Kingpin, Robro, Flarewolf, Starstrike, and Ambush. Dice the Carrots and the state. There are 2 cameos over here. There's this was requested from a fan on Patreon. They asked me to include this character as part of their requests on Patreon. And then this one is Fred Burger with his nachos. Yes! What does this have to do? No. So he starts to cook. Alright, so Robo has placed the camera in the hat to sneak in on the Spyro. So the hat tries to wash his hands. Says, no water. So he grabs a Sorceress's wand to clean his hands. And he's tenderizing the beef with his mittens. And he's mashing the potatoes with a mace. He's dicing the carrots with a knife. With a sword, maybe. He's doing the kiln on a double-edged thing. He does the shish kebab like an arrow, bow singer arrow. Uh-oh, he's coming. Better hide. There's the food. Looks like he starts passing the food like a ninja. And starts throwing stuff like a swashbuckler. Now, swashbuckler's both range and close. And there's the candles. Yeah, he's dressed up like Woody. One is a quick shot. And he's dressed up like Major Chip Hazard from Small Soldiers. That one. And he bows down. I must say, you really are impressed. You have impressed us. Wait, how do you know? Oh, I was doing all that in the kitchen. Lucky guess. Actually, why did it have to be a secret? Why did I have to make it a secret? I'm not sure. Maybe it's just a sensei code or something. So he starts eating it. Congratulations, you are a master of another sensei class. And what's that? The Chaos class. You stink at cooking. No, really, have you seen the soda that Chaos's family has made? I mean, would you drink sand or mud or radioactive suction evil flavored? Probably not. Now, next up is Potions 11. If you say it, you might be thinking, oh, this is something to do with that heist film. Now, actually, originally it was supposed to be more based on the heist film of Ocean's 11. But the reason why but unfortunately it got a bit cut short for timing reasons. So instead, I just have Pop Fizz making 11 potions for several Skylanders who want to make a wish for whatever they want. So basically, one drink, they makes their wishes come true. This is based on some things. Let me turn up the volume for a bit. Let me just turn up what their wishes are. I kind of forgot. So Black Cat wishes for more Skylanders of the Dark element. Since there's only one Core Dark, one Sensei Dark, one Trap Master Dark, and one Supercharger Dark. Actually, 2 Senseis if you're counting the villain. And yet there's a lot of villains, like 4 villains. So how come they haven't done? They haven't. Same with the light element. So this one was made as a bit of a theory to why in Skylander Superchargers, the core Skylanders that became Superchargers had all these fancy gizmos and stuff, like Stealth Elf has the Splinter Gun, Gil Grunt has the Aquaman Trident, and Trigger Happy is like a Daredevil, and Eruptor has a Lance. But in Imaginators, they kind of went back to their regular ways, like Stealth Elf is back to being her normal elf ways, Eruptor is back to being naked, and Trigger Happy is also back to being naked. So this one I made a theory. What if somebody temporarily took over the Supercharger Reposer Skylanders vehicles while their Supercharger Reposers end up back as their normal core selves? In fact, I made several Sensei. I have made several Imaginator versions of that idea on DeviantArt if you're curious. And basically, just in case the villains come back to being bad, let's have somebody else take over their Sensei duties. In fact, I came up with some, like the Supercharger Reposers, I came up with some Sensei villain substitutes. Also, that was what I was thinking about with the substitutes earlier. Where I had the substitute Supercharger Reposers and the substitute Sensei villains. For example, for the Superchargers, one character I came out with is Hair Devil, replacing Double Dare Trigger Happy, and another is Hotimus, replacing Lava Lance Eruptor, but he's more like a fiery hippopotamus. For the villains, I have Dixie Dust, who's like a golden pixie. She's replacing the Golden Queen, and I have Bat Trick, who replaces Wolfgang as the Sensei Undead Bowslinger, and I also have Sarcophagus, a crocodile. A walking crocodile rock being with the water abilities, replacing Graveclobber. Basically, Dream Sheep, a villain exclusive to Skylanders Trap Team on the 3DS, he wishes he was in a specified element, along with the other Nightmare villains. So basically, sometimes I found myself a bit bored trying to redraw the vehicles over and over and over again. So sometimes, and I feel like what would make them more interesting? Maybe have them as Transformers. Now, one idea was to have Spitfire and the vehicles be just part of their armors and they can transform, or have the vehicles as separate Transformers with their own beings and stuff. So basically, somebody else playing the role of Crash Bandicoot or Dr. Neocortex while they go back to Wampa Islands with unfinished business. So basically, Spark says the items were alive, like have alive versions. Some of them are alive, like the Golden Piggy Bank, the Ram rocket, and the Tiki Speaky. But others, like the Pirate Treasure and the irons, I think they could be anthropomorphized. I might do something about that later. Basically, Bad Breath wishes Santa Claus was here. This is based on a video that Vicarious Visions made on the Skylanders YouTube channel, where they came up with a Skylander version of Santa Claus. It was never playable, it was just in the concept stage, but some people can try and make their own version of it. Basically, Hex's skull companion from Skylanders Academy, he wishes he had a body. Would it be like Skeletor from He-Man? Basically, me wishing that he wishes that some of the Skylanders University characters became actual playable characters. Yes, I'm still working on Skylanders University, but I won't do a commentary on that until it's fully completed. Drainstorm is but he was hoping for either Drainstorm, Boulder, or something like that. But take a look what happens finally. Reused from Double Dragon Decade. Let's do that again. So over here are some OCs I made, which are based on the dark versions of the Skylanders from Skylanders Ring of Heroes. Over here is clearly based on Dark Spyro from... He has a name. I have written it somewhere. I just need to know what it is. And he is based on Shadow Spitfire. I think I have another one who's based on Dark Kingpin, but I'll reveal that later. And here are these other characters. They're based on Light Jetpack, Light Flashwing, and Light Hex. They're completely different characters and stuff. These are the new replacements for the Supercharger Reposers. These are the replacements for the Sensei villains. These are the Nightmare villains in Specified Elements. I just did a shaping tween with the Skylanders Supercharger vehicles as Transformers. These are the replacements for Crash Bandicoot and Dr. Neocortex, Mole Rush, and Hornex. The characters are alive. The items are alive. There's Santa Claus, and there's Skull in his proper glory. Sunshine and Tarclops, based on the Scrap Sky versions of Camo and Zeb, and I've included them in Skylanders Academy. University. Not quite. And let's move on to the last one. 12 Ways to Spend Christmas During the Pandemic. This was made in response to the fact that we couldn't do a lot of shopping. We had to... Very limited in customers and stocks, and many places still closed. It was during the pandemic, so... This is basically my attempt to try and comfort those who are disturbed in the winter and having wintry blues, that they're stuck in the house with COVID and stuff. So here's how I went with it. I'm just going to turn down the volume a bit because There's still many ways one can spend Christmas during the pandemic. I can list at least 12 great examples. 1, warming yourself up in the fireplace. So here's Stealth Elf roasting marshmallows on an open fire. Lifting a leg. Her torch doesn't need the fireplace. She's got her own hair for that. There's Popthorn. He's roasting a nut and it pops into a popcorn, kind of like Scrat from Ice Age 1. And he also puffs. There's Eruptor. He's so frozen he needs to be melted. So Pop gives him a hand. Make a nice Christmas dinner. Now, the Eruptor thingy, that was inspired by one of his worst nightmares in Skylanders, The Machine of Doom, the novel. Make a nice Christmas dinner. I see a Sid snowman outside. There's Zulu there. There's eggnog and eggnog, potatoes, mashed potatoes, turkey, ham, fruitcake, stuffing, and some mince pie. As he turns around, suddenly everything is eaten. Now for the people who were confused on that part, like why is there a sound effect like somebody eating? Is that it's supposed to be like a delayed reaction. I mean, sometimes some people play an audio over something and it cuts to that scene later, or something like that. I was trying to do that type of effect, where I have an audio played before that scene actually happens. That's the effect I was going for. People were confused. I apologize if this came out as a bit of a weak joke. Watching television. Over here, Girl Grunt has a 27th cousin, I think three times removed. Let me check again. It says here, 27 cousins, 7 times removed. It's based on his prototype design. He's got a mint chocolate chip soda. Another Christmas Carol adaptation or parody. How many of those do we have? We got one starring Jim Carrey in 2009. We got the Muppets Christmas Carol. We got Daffy having his own version in Bah Humduck. We have one by DIC. He's starring Tim Curry. We have Mr. Magoo. We even have 2 My Little Pony parodies of the Christmas Carol. And we also have a Johnny Test Earth Day parody of Christmas Carol. Doesn't he? Another It's a Wonderful Life parody. We have stuff like that in Tiny Toons and Ed's World. And even I did my own take on that. Another Nativity Story adaptation. This actually isn't that I'm sure some of you may or may not have seen something like that, but the one that came to my head the most is The Star, an animated film by Sony Pictures Animation. And maybe there's one on VeggieTales, since it is a Christian story. Oh, wait, I also know another. Ed, Edd and Eddy's Jingle Jingle Jangle. That's basically a parody of the Nativity Story. An Emoji Christmas Special. Be glad the Emoji Movie wasn't a franchise, and it's just a movie. Otherwise, we have something like this. And yet we have a lot of Norm of the North movies for some reason. I suppose it makes more sense for Norm of the North to have a series more so than the Emoji Movie, because I can see more stories to be told with Norm of the North, while the Emoji Movie, almost everything in that year is completely out of date, especially that Twitter logo. It's no longer Twitter, it's an X. Anybody's looking back on that is like gonna scratch their heads. It's like, what's that supposed to represent? Same with that Twitter scene in Ralph Breaks the Internet. Listening to Christmas music. Good thing I turned it off, because otherwise I had to suffer through All I Want for Christmas Is You. That's why I planted the extra gory version of The Night Santa Went Crazy, where the lyrics are, Yes, Virginia, now Santa Claus is dead. Some guy from the SWAT team blew a hole through his head. Yes, little friend, now his brain is on the floor. Guess we won't have the fat guy to kick around anymore. But now there's no more presents for the children's enjoyment. And he else gonna stand in line and fall for more employment. I actually sang this in a Christmas party once. People were in shock. And then there's playing board games. Just figuring out what to do. Jetpack and Terrafin are figuring out what to do. They're playing Scrabble. Now let's see, what did they spelled so far? They got moss, stoat, which is a weasel-like greeting, taco, ace, trace, order, Ronin, rhino, and skink. And skunk. And ore. And what has Seraphin spelled? Virus. Top that. And Jetpack writes in coronavirus. Yeah, so we play Hangman instead. Play video games. So Trigger Happy is like, for the 100th time, they have stopped upgrading this game. Don't expect those leaked characters to come in. Basically, this is meant to reflect on Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel. We were supposed to have Ripto, the Sorceress, and Willy Wampa Cheeks coming to Crash Team Racing Nitro Fuel, but unfortunately everything got scrapped. That those got scrapped, and their last update was in March of 2020. They haven't done anything else They haven't done anything with that game ever since. And instead, Beanox was working with Toys for Bob on Crash Bandicoot 4. It's about time. And later, they were focusing on Call of Duty. It makes me wonder, should they have helped Toys for Bob with making Crash Team Rumble, help get things done in time, and help expand the characteristics and play characters and stuff like that? I mean, extra help means extra features and extra things done in time. But Toys for Bob is now independent, and Crash Team Rumble is stopped updating, and Vicarious Visions is no more. It is now Blizzard Albany and is part of Blizzard. It's only Beanox that remains under Activision's contract, and they're just making Call of Duty stuff. Perhaps they'll do maybe one day they will make a Spyro game. I mean, they made a Skylanders game. They made a Crash Bandicoot game. Now it's their turn to make a Spyro game. Vicarious Visions has made a Spyro game with Spyro Orange, as well as Crash Purple. People thought it was, someone on the comment section said it was more, it was based on Indivisible, which is another game that had some guest character leaks. They were planning to include more characters due an update, but then something screwy happened behind the scenes. Somebody did sexual harassment and misconduct, and thus they got fired, and the place they worked on closed down, and many people moved on to other places. Thus, Indivisible got closed down. I haven't even finished the game. I really want to, but it's a type of game I don't like to play in front of my parents, let's say. They just 1, 2, 3, 7 times. It's leaked. Contacting with loved ones. Chopper calls. This T-Rex roar from Jurassic Park. That was my grandma. Building snowmen or the ice sculptures. I showed this to my dad's co-workers, and they got a good laugh out of the T-Rex one. And it's the Snow Queen, and she's a little underdressed, let's say. And Chill is making a... Did I accidentally make Chill buy or something? I don't know. So suddenly the snowman comes alive, and the Snow Queen comes alive too, and they just got hitched. Drinking beverages. Starstrike's got the Flanders hot cocoa, and Sabertooth's got the eggnog. He just splashes it on him, though. I never liked marshmallows. Spending time with loved ones. Here's Spyro and Rollerball reading the A-OK, You Are A-OK book, still cementing the fact that they are asexual in my universe. But don't worry, fellas. Cinder's got a love and a significant other. His brother, Dark Spyro. Looking out in the window. it looks like Ghost Roaster's just looking out in the cell. He wanted to play. So he makes himself intangible, goes past the walls, and he's out enjoying himself. But it's the enforcers of the stay-at-home enforcers. Were there any enforcers around your area when COVID happened? Christmas photography. The classic way I end my animations. I have characters in a photography, like how I usually end my animations. So yeah, fellas, we've gone on a bit longer than I was expecting a bit. So let's end it right here. Those are my same month, same day animations. It was quite a fun ride with this one too. And thank you for joining me on this. I'll see you all in the next commentary. I hope you've enjoyed this video.